Hello everyone, it's me again. My name is Adebayo Chris Katiti and I use he, him, mwami several pronouns. I am the founder of RARICANOW based here in Edmonton, Canada, and today we are going to have an important conversations about gender diversity and sexual orientation. This presentation is about building respectful and inclusive communities, creating brave, safe and affirming spaces where everyone can show up as their authentic selves. So what are we going to cover today? This presentation has three main objectives. The first objective, we want to promote respect and affirmation. We will foster understanding and respectful and inclusive language and behaviors towards gender diverse individuals and encourage empathy through lived experiences and real world scenarios. Objective number two, we will educate on gender identity and sexuality. We are going to clarify terminology related to gender identity, gender expression, and sexual orientation. And most importantly, we will explore fluidity, self-discovery, and society expectations across cultures, especially within Black communities. The third objective and final objective is we want to empower you to become better allies. We will equip you with tools to advocate for others and challenge harmful behaviors. We will help you recognize your role in creating braver, safer spaces for gender diverse folks, in general, for actually everyone. Before we dive deep, let me share a quote from Jackie Robinson that really captures the heart of this work. I am not concerned with you liking or disliking me. All I ask is that you respect me as a human being. That is what this is all about. Respect. Let me be clear about what that really means. Because you'll be there, everyone, listen, everyone deserves to be treated with kindness and respect, no matter their gender or race or background. It is okay to ask questions and learn. In fact, if you do not know something, ask and avoid making assumptions. Use someone's correct pronouns and names and that shows respect. Respect promotes fairness, equality, and a sense of belonging. At RARICANOW, we use what we call Afrocentric diverse approach in our housing and settlement support. This is an anti-oppressive framework that honors the body, the mind, and spirit, and it is trauma-informed. I'm going to break it down for you. Body. All bodies, ways of moving, and capacities must be respected. Always ask before engaging in physical contact unless otherwise stated, and honor people's boundaries. Mind. All thoughts, ideas, ways of thinking and learning must be valued. The right to intellectual property is upheld and protected. Let me break this down for you. All bodies, ways of moving, and capacities must be respected. Always ask before engaging in physical contact, unless otherwise stated, and honor people's boundaries. When it comes to the mind, all thoughts, ideas, and ways of thinking and learning are valued. The right to intellectual property is upheld and protected. Spirit, all stories, histories, and spiritual practices must be treated sacred. This space holds multicultural experiences and including trauma and the mishandling of our stories, and people must be engaged with highly delicate ways. No one is pressured to disclose anything in the circle that makes them feel uncomfortable. We also need to consider how systems and society structures influence individuals and their mental health. As we gain a deeper understanding of the intersections of our identities, we recognize that others also possesses complex identities we may not fully understand, prompting us to consider the power dynamics that might be at play. Remember, race and gender are social constructs. They were created by society. It's not nature. So we gotta engage with knowing this background and this knowledge behind what we're discussing. So now let's get clear on some terminology. These definitions are important because they help us communicate with precision and respect. Gender identity. Gender identity is your deeply held inner feeling of whether you are female or male, or both or neither. This is about who you are inside. Sexual orientation is an individual's enduring physical, romantic, or emotional attraction to another person. This is about who you love. Gender expression, this is the way in which people publicly or privately present their gender identity through clothing, haircut, makeup, body language, or even voice. Gender fluidity refers to changes over time in a person's gender expression or gender identity or both. Now, transgender, this is a term used for someone whose identity, who identify with the gender different from the gender they were assigned at birth. Non-binary, this is a spectrum of gender identity that are not exclusively masculine or exclusively feminine. Identities that are outside the gender binary. Now, cisgender, I know you, I'm non-cis, I'm non-cis, listen. Cisgender refers to a person whose gender identity corresponds with the sex they were assigned at birth, and they ain't transgender. Allies, these are supporters or advocates of the queer community, or the transgender community. Being an ally is about using inclusive language, showing up with respect, sharing resources and money, and supporting people through your actions and your words. Step in when people misgender trans people. Intersex is an umbrella used to categorize various reproductive or sexual anatomy differences that do not fit usually male or female definition. Intersex people can have any gender identity or sexual orientation. It is really important to understand that gender identity is not the same as sexual orientation. And I want to explain this and explain the difference so that you understand. So, gender identity is your inner psychological sense of yourself as male or female or both or neither, regardless of your sexual orientation. Some people question their gender identity and may feel unsure of their gender or believe there is and they are not of the same gender as their biological sex or physical body or the other one which they were assigned at birth. Whereas sexual orientation is determined by the patterns of romantic, sexual, and emotional attraction felt by an individual towards members of the same sex or opposite sex or all sexes. Who do you love? Who are you attracted to? And who do you care for? Here are some types of sexual orientation. They include heterosexual. These are folks who are straight people. They're attracted to opposite sex. There is the homosexual. These are folks who are attracted to the same sex, they're either gay or lesbian. There is bisexual. These are folks who are attracted to both sexes, male and female. Queer is a corrective term, used by all sexes or trans people. Asexual, folks who are not experiencing sexual attraction. Whereas two-spirit refers to indigenous people whose identity or identify with both masculine and feminine or non-binary qualities. Now, here are some types of gender identity. We have cisgender, like a cisgender man, cisgender woman. We have transgender, non-binary, androgyny, is a combination of masculine and feminine characteristics. Two-spirit folks. Yes, you see that two-spirit folks and in the gender identity and also sexual orientation. So it can be both. I wanted to highlight that language matters. So using gender inclusive language shows respect and creates brave, safer futures. So we have to learn the language within our 2S LGBT community spaces. For example, instead of a man or woman, you can say a person. That language is inclusive. Instead of saying salesman or salesperson, you can say a salesman or saleswoman. You can say a salesperson. It doesn't cost you anything. Like instead of saying a male man or a male woman, you can say a male career. You're inclusive, you're including everybody. Instead of saying a fireman or firewoman, you're a firefighter. Instead of saying a waiter or a waitress, you can say a server. This is gender inclusive language. I want to talk about some pronouns so you understand the variety, diversity of pronouns. They are he, him, she, her, they, them, these are, hers, herself. Some people use their names only, while some choose not to disclose. So our goal is to always respect people's pronouns. As simple as that. Respecting people's boundaries and not force people to say what they don't want to say. Period. Sexual identity refers to an individual's inheld sense of their own sexual attractions, desires, and orientation. It is an integral part of a person's self-perception and many influence or may influence their relationships, behaviors, and overall well-being. Here are some key aspects of sexual identity. There is attraction. Self-identity is shaped by the types of individuals to whom one is romantically, emotionally, or sexually attracted to. Orientation is the sexual identity refers to an individual's patterns of attraction. Self-identification is the sexual identity involve an individual's personal understanding and acknowledgement of their own sexual orientation, whereas fluidity isn't always fixed and may evolve or change over time for some individuals. We need to address HIV stigma. HIV stigma refers to the negative belief, feelings, and attitudes towards people living with HIV or AIDS. This social stigma is rooted in fear, misunderstanding about the virus and its transmission, and often fueled by myth and misinformation. Some form of HIV stigma includes discrimination, rejection, and prejudice against those affected by HIV. How to overcome HIV stigma? Educate yourself and others about HIV transmission and prevention. Challenge negative self-talks if you're living with HIV. Engage in open conversations to normalize the discussion about the virus. Challenge the myth and misconception. We have HIV Edmonton. Go ask for this information. For example, some of the myth is, HIV is a gay or LGBTQ disease. The reality is, while rates of HIV stigma or HIV virus disproportionately higher amongst the two LGBT communities, HIV is by no means confined to LGBTQ people. Anyone, regardless of their sexual orientation or gender identity, can be infected by the HIV virus. Gender versus sex. Gender is what is in between your ears. It is in your mind, your internal sense of who you are. Whereas sex is what is in between your legs. It is your biological anatomy. They are not the same thing. They are not the same thing. You stop fighting trans people about this. Gender roles and gender expectation, we're going to break that down. Gender expression or gender presentation is the physical manifestation of one's gender identity through clothing, hairstyle, voice, body shape, etc. Many trans people seek to make their gender expression, how they look, match their gender identity, who they are, rather than their sex assigned at birth. Here we gotta talk about gender roles. One of the other hand, whether or refers to the attitudes and the behaviors that are considered appropriate, acceptable, and desirable for an individual based on the individual biological perceived sex. This includes how people expect people to talk, act, dress, or behave. Gender roles are also based in culture and societal norms, like the ideas that women stay at home looking after children while men do jobs, that women are more emotional while men are aggressive, that women are nurses and teachers while men are doctors and engineers. They are all social constructs that are very across societies, cultures, and time period. We now know women who are doctors. We now know what women can do. what trans women can do, baby. You know? So now I want to share two real life scenarios, wild scenarios with you. They are the kinds of situations that happen every single day, and we need to think about how we respond. This is Tommy's experience. Tom is a gender diverse Black transgender student who joined class today. Tom has not undergone gender affirming surgery and uses they them pronouns. Shortly after arriving, Tom was misgendered, dead-named by the teacher, drawing attention from other students. Throughout the class, Tom experienced both gender discrimination and anti-Black racism. Feeling unsafe, unsupported, Tom left the room in distress. Tommy's parents aren't accepting of their identity, and Tom fears they may be disowned if they find out. At this moment, Tom doesn't know who to turn to. Here are some of the reflective questions that I want you to be able to answer. Literally leave your answers in the comment sections for others. If you witness this happening, what steps would you take to support Tom? How might students or teachers work together to make Tom feel safe and affirmed in this space? And what are some of the long-term changes schools can implement to protect gender diverse Black students from being harmed and trans students from being harmed? Answer in the comment sections. Let us go. Let us find each other in the comment section. This is another experience I'm going to give you of Jed. Jed is experience about homophobia. Jed is a 15-year-old student who recently came out as lesbian to a few close friends at school. At first, she felt relieved and hopeful, but within days, whispers started in the hallway. A group of students began mocking her during lunch, calling her slut, and saying she was just confused. One teacher overheard but didn't intervene. Oh, the bullying escalated. Some student accused her of being evil and that she would burn in hell. She won't go to heaven. While others spread false information, stigmatizing claim that she had HIV and would infect them. Jed stopped attending her favorite after-school class club. Because the bullying followed her there too. She began isolating herself, eating lunch alone, avoiding eye contact, skipping activities, and her grades started dropping. She felt invisible and unsafe in a place where she was supposed to be supported. She was supposed to be supported by her growth and learning. Her sense of belonging vanished. These are questions I want you to consider and I want you to answer in the comment section. What could you do if you witness someone being bullied or excluded because of their sexual orientation? How can school create safer spaces for LGBTQ youth like Jed? If Jed were your friend, what would you say or do to help her feel seen and supported? And how can we challenge the idea that being LGBTQ is evil, that someone like Jade is dangerous, and falsely accusing Jade of having HIV? So what do we do with all this information? We take actions. We become allies. We create change. We create more brave, safer spaces for 2S LGBTQ folks. We don't have to wait for Adebayo to do so. You can become another Adebayo to create a safer space for someone. Here is what I want you to remember today. That respect is non-negotiable. Everyone deserves to be treated with dignity, no matter their gender identity, no matter their sexual orientation, their race or background. That language matters. Use people's correct names and pronouns. Use gender-inclusive language. It doesn't cost you a thing. And educate yourself. Don't rely on others to teach you everything. Do the work. And speak up when you witness discrimination, bullying, or harm. Don't be silent. Be an active ally. Create braver, safer spaces, whether you are in a classroom, workplace, a faith space, a community, or just hanging out with friends. Make sure everyone feels like they belong. Challenge the myths and the stigma, whether it's about HIV, whether it's about LGBTQ identities or about race. Misinformation, wherever it is, find it and address it. I have provided a QR code so you can have access to additional support and resources. And remember that building inclusive and respectful communities is everyone's responsibility. We all have a role to play. I have played mine. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much, the City of Edmonton, for helping us doing this work. Follow our work at www.raricanow.ca. Take care and remember, respect is everything.